massive thanks to all of my supporting members and patrons. Thank you all so very much. Hello, good evening and welcome. Thank you ever so much to everyone who joined us on the replay, the re-upload of MAGE II on the new Mr. Sensible Baldy Cats channel. A special welcome to this channel to all those from Baldy Cats who are now, sorry I'm mucking around with my mic, who have now hopped on over here to Mr. Sensible Live. Big welcome, really pleased to see you. Okay, that was fun. To be honest, it was almost like reliving it. It really was. And it was good that we had a flat earther in there. Although, of course, he had nothing. No understanding, no argument, no hope. So, yeah, big welcome. Well, we've got 73 people in here off the bat, so I'm not even going to try and go through all the names. You can see who's in here, as can I. Even the Gary Wybenger is in here. Good evening, Gary. So, that was MAGE II. There was the original MAGE I, which unfortunately died a death about 5¼ kilometres, although thankfully was rescued. MAGE II, which went up to 38,760 metres, something like that. MAGE III. I have spent a lot of time thinking about it, and I've had a few ideas myself, some of which you guys I've also noticed have mentioned in the chat. So I will hang fire on my ideas for MAGE III, because I'll be interested, and I'll take some notes of any thoughts or ideas that you guys have. I won't rule anything in or out at this time. Some things that I know people were talking about, some things are more feasible than others, some may even be impossible. But, I mean, this is what I want to do. I want to sound you guys out, see if you can come up with thoughts, and we'll take it from there. Once I've gathered what appear to be the best ideas, and perhaps some that are interesting but I'm not sure about, I will hold discussions with Q, the technical expert in high altitude ballooning, and work out what we can and can't do. There is no current time scale for MAGE III. I've not booked anything, not ordered any parts or anything like that. We'll just see where we get to. Yes, actually, Now Pinion, you should re-upload the MAGE reaction video. Are you talking about that one when I first announced it with the cartoony drawings? That was fun. That was fun. So, let's see what we got. I've seen a couple ideas, but yeah, throw in an idea or two now, and we'll run it around a bit and see where we get to. As I said, some ideas, you know, if someone said, get up there and then launch so and so, we'll have to say no, because in the UK you're not allowed to drop items or launch items from balloons. We're also limited to about 1 kilogram in weight. Is it a kilogram? Not much more than a kilogram anyway. So yeah, can't wait for MAGE III. Nor can I. But I did see people throwing in ideas, but now's the time to do it, because we can actually talk about it, because the live chat is captured alongside the stream, so people can watch it back later. So I won't mention any ideas that I have seen in here before. Has anyone suggested sharks? No, this isn't Sharknado 3. This will be MAGE 3. I was asked if this was going to be a balloon again. Yes, it is a balloon. And David Oliver, member for 13 months. Put a slab of cheese in MAGE 3 and eat it after. Been there, done that. There was a Baby Bell cheese in it, and I released a little video where Arnold had his cat biscuits and I had the cheese. Oh, Dora and Coo, super chat, €2 down payment for a boost by Falcon 9. Actually, very fortunate. Oh, come on. Mr. Arnold, since it's MAGE, decided to join us tonight. I think he's half asleep, but it's been a while since you've been on camera, isn't it, Arnold? You reckon we should do MAGE 3? He's not impressed. But he's doing well. Go. Right, yeah, so have we got any ideas? Scrap the 1 kilogram idea, 1 ounce maybe. Thanks, Debonk. When we're talking cameras and batteries, actually that's the first thing. MAGE 3 had 3 cameras in it. If that flat earther ever watches this stream, it had 2 wide angle lensed cameras. That is not fisheye. Fisheye is something else. One of those was looking at the balloon. One was just looking at the back of MAGE to capture a wide view, just because it looks nice, and we were up there. The only camera that counted for the MAGE experiment was the forward-facing camera that always had strings in front and was a non-distorting lens. In the description under the MAGE video, it gives the spec of MAGE, including the cameras. Pollen47, thank you for $5 Canadian. Part of the main camera view, corner maybe, should be a matte painted ball as a highlight shadow reference. Maybe a chrome ball opposite corner. I tell you what, I do like that idea because it's very simple, and you could do that light. So, a black and chrome balls for highlights. That is neat, and nothing that I had considered. Very interesting. CubeSats start at 10,000. Yes, CubeSats were mentioned. $10,000. Well, I ask you. I'm not sure if that's going to be possible. Not in my budget. And Q Branch is in the house. Q, welcome, my friend. And as you may have gathered, I'm thinking of a MAGE III. I'm getting people to throw in ideas, any and all ideas, and then I will get in contact with you, and we can talk through what ideas are going to be possible, and then amongst those, which ones will be the most interesting. One idea, says Paul Ward, lots of not fisheye cameras aligned to give a full 360 view without distortion. Okay, you have an issue of weight because it's a lot of batteries, but so multi-cameras for full view. And actually, what I'll also add to that is I did see it mentioned, and it was an idea I had some months ago as well, a 360 camera. Then you've got VR, virtual reality. You can look at it in your phone with one of those cardboard things. I don't know if it would make people sick. I don't know. Probably wouldn't be able to do any experiments then, but it might be interesting. So I'll mention that as well. I'll put that on the list. 360 cam. Now opinion 55 Swedish krona. How can you get the camera more stable? Little Miss Now says hello. Hello, Little Miss Now. More stable camera. Well, what we're talking about is MAGE is dangling on a string, dangling from a parachute, dangling from a balloon. Stability is not going to be easy. It gets better as you get higher. Once you reach the great heights, it just starts turning gently, because for some reason there's not much air to chuck it around, but you're always going to get the twisting and turning. I know people mentioned about gyroscopes and that, but how you would actually use them to maintain a position, I don't know. And you could, I suppose, potentially end up stuck looking at the sun and not seeing anything else the whole time. Right, given the lifetime, you might be able to share a battery. Paul, each camera had its own battery pack, and one didn't make it time-wise. GPS tracker with live tracking online is also nice, says Tiny. Yet there were 2 GPS trackers in there, and the signals were picked up by high-altitude balloon enthusiasts, transmitted to a central server, which is where it was downloaded from, so that we could track it. But I can't see we'd be able to do it live, because it has to be kept sort of fairly confidential at the time. Can't have other people tracking it, I'm afraid. And I don't, other than data like height and GPS position and temperature and stuff like that, we wouldn't be able to do a live video feed, which would be nice, but I don't think so. I'll note it down just to talk to Q about it, but I don't think a live video feed is going to be possible. Channel right, £2. Is it possible to do a high definition VR camera? Yeah, so I'll add HD cam on there. One issue I had, that was reasonably high definition. It may, of course, lose a bit on YouTube. Absolutely slaughtered my computer because we had 3 cameras, and I forget, it was sort of 25, and 50 gig. And then trying to render on all the telemetry data, it took a week of computer time to render it all. And I had to do it in half-hour chunks. So that would be interesting. Would a vane stabilise you on lower heights? I suppose boom and Boom and chew too, I suppose it would. So I'll note that as well. Vane to steady. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Weight is our enemy, though. Always weight. Now, you could certainly make it light, and maybe if we lost a camera and a battery pack, that gains us more options elsewhere. So no Apple tag. No, it's much more better. It's telling us height and everything. So when we were following it, Q is actually able to then tell, because we could see the altitude suddenly start plummeting. We knew that it was on its way back down, and we tracked it to within 750 meters because we couldn't park near it. And as Q's just said, we can live stream the launch, but not thereafter. So I mean that might be an interesting idea. Live video feed launch ? That could be interesting. And then people will have to wait for a week and a half or whatever it is before I can get the video together. For stability, extending booms to increase moment of inertia. Hey, we're going to have one of these. Was it the fast rocket that went out and then threw out the booms to stop itself spinning? Is Bob the science guy sick? I don't know. I haven't heard much from Bob lately. Must get in touch with that. I hope he hasn't. You can ask others to process parts of the video. Pre-process stuff. Parallel processing. Possibly. Or I could persuade Mrs. Sensible that I really need a really good computer. Right. Now, I'll call this one out. Call it out. It's the wrong expression. Tup B. Put a grid in front of the horizon cam instead of 2 stretched threads. It's on my list, mate. Yeah. One thing we didn't do with MAGE, well, two things. We didn't show a grid, a checkerboard beforehand, so that we could show what the camera's actual behaviour was, the lens's behaviour. But also, yes, we only had the 2 strings. I have been trying to find some form of lightweight grid, very lightweight grid, that perhaps could go on the front of MAGE. We want it thin, so it's not going to obstruct the view, but we want it so it's visible. We want it light because of weight, so that's difficult. But yes, a grid is on the list, so good call there. Good call. Someone else says 360. Put a camera on a gimbal. So camera on a gimbal. Interesting thought. I mean, the camera is basically embedded into MAGE to help keep it warm and the batteries warm, as well as protect it for landing. So I'm not quite sure how you'd gimbal it. But, well, I'll note it down, gimbal. This is going to be an interesting chat you and I will have to have sometime, Q, to go through some of these thoughts. And I'm glad that you came here tonight, because I haven't heard from you, although I haven't contacted you either for a little while either. Is it possible 3 strings in front of the camera? Yeah, just using existing frame secret G, we could pin as many strings as we want. Getting them accurate for use by the software which undistorts to get them back square could be quite difficult, but that's certainly possible. Oh, right, sorry, I nearly missed a super chat. I'm going to scroll. Actually, I'm going to check my IFTTT so I don't miss anything. Right, Chrome Ball, miss now. Infrared camera or setting says channel right. Interesting. Infrared. I know what you mean, because we've seen those long distance photographs people say. And Ben Chop super chatted, Mr. Sensible, instead of strings, what about metal wire set in a square grid across the camera? Then you could definitely see the curve. Sorry, am I out of step here? Am I out of sync? Ben said about the infrared camera, and debunk. Oh, it's scrolling, jumping. David Oliver, beg your pardon, said, Mr. Sensible, instead of strings, what about metal wire set in a square grid across the camera? Then you could definitely see the curve. Yeah, I looked at various meshes. Lots of the ones I managed to find were galvanised. It needs to be really thin wire and accurate. One thing I did think of was perspex, a thin sheet of perspex with grid lines etched in or drawn onto them. It has to be thin because of weight, but then the other thing is it going to destroy the view. We're going to get reflections and dust particles and whatever else on it. See, there's lots of issues with many of these ideas. They're not bad ideas, but thinking of ways to do them so they work is tough. Very tough. Yeah, so that's the super chat. So I hope I haven't missed anyone. I don't think I have. So I'll scroll back a bit. Yes, unfortunately, Mr. Oakley is too heavy. Tusk. Right, we could use a gimboid, such as Nathan Oakley. A fleur to kick for luck. Oh, that's an idea. Changing the shape from short and squat to tall and thin would limit the rocking motion. Yeah, Mage. Actually, I do have Mage here. If you bear with me 1 second. For those who haven't seen it, this is Mage. To give you an idea of scale, it weighs next to nothing. Absolutely next to nothing. So there's a hand size, just to give you an idea. I think that these booms are about 30 centimetres long, projecting the screens in front, the strings in front. Someone mentioned about could you use straight strings. Well, these are straight strings. Oh, that one's gone a bit saggy. But they're spring loaded. So there's Mage for you. Just to give you an idea of scale. Barometer. There is, we had a barometer, Eric Anderson, electronic sensor. It was a barometer and temperature sensor all in one. And the barometer was actually pretty darn accurate. We were within, I can't remember, was it within 1,000 pascals at the top of Everest height? And Q has done a video pulling to pieces and examining the pressure data. Incidentally, if anyone wants the data, they're welcome to have it. You can just email me, mr-sensible@hotmail.com, and I will send you the full data set. There's a couple of edits. It's all explained in there, and that can be used by anyone to, for study or whatever with regard to the experiment. Right. I see a couple of messages come up. Dr. Osiris, sensible member, welcome, sir. Thank you very much. And Jez of the Random Reviewer, member for 17 months. Thank you. How about sending up a small container of alcohol? Okay, why do you say that? Why do you say that, Jezza? Because one of my ideas would involve vodka. I'm thinking vodka. Would metal bend with temperature change? Repost Salman. I presume you're talking about the grid. Interesting idea. And next pro says Perspex, bad idea. Yeah. Tracing paper, says Stephen. Well, yeah, you could do that, but you've got to be able to see through it to be able to see everything, because it will cover the view. Maximum weight, unless Q can correct me, is somewhere in the region of 1 kilogram. We want the weight to be as low as possible. To stop spin, monofilament fishing line, strong and light. The strings are certainly very strong, and they have to be strong. And it's a lot of string. I think we were about 10 or 15 metres from Mage to the parachute, and about the same from the parachute to the balloon. It's quite long. So you can see why there's a lot of swing, but it has to be, because like when the balloon bursts, everything's got to right itself, and you don't want it to tangle up, so you want to keep them all far apart. Use an onion bag for the grid, super light, thin and orange. Well, it would be. I mean, that's a really good thought, actually, Tusk. What we need to ensure is that the grid is square, because if someone's going to use shots of that video to process it to unwarp any warping in the imagery, it's got to be spot on. Paul Ward, £20. Thank you very much, Paul. For materials, wood frame, chicken wire for the grid. Yeah, well, this is balsa wood and like a very light, strong foam, which is also insulating. As I said, temperature's a concern. The batteries get too cold, we lose the batteries. The flight was about 3 hours, and one of the cameras didn't make it the full distance because we went down to about minus was it minus 35, maybe a bit lower. Back up to just above 0 though. But yeah, chicken wire, again, it's finding something that's perfectly square. So I agree about perspex could be really difficult because, well, of weight and other issues, but a perspex grid with the lines, you know, in effect professionally etched in would be the answer for a nice grid, but presents other difficulties. I like fluffy kittens too, Michelle, or Michael, sorry, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Bear with me. Grr, arg. I'm just scrolling because there's a couple of messages. Channel right, could you send a live mouse up? Well, that's not very nice now, is it, Mr. Channel right? Poor little mouse. Although he could come back, it'd be a space mouse for Arnold. He'd eat him. And Dr. Unsensible, who has an image that's cunningly disguised, but I think I sussed it out as the same, what do you call it? Image. I forgot what the word is. Avatar. As Dr. Nimrod says, woohoo, free chat. Better not waste it then. Cheese. Thanks, Nimrod. I mean, Dr. Unsensible. So what else have we got? Styrofoam maybe for insulation. Well, the insulation we're okay for. Acetate. That's thin and could be etched. Yes. That is interesting. I'll note that down. Acetate for the grid. We want it to be as clear, you know, if you did it, you want it to be as clear as possible because our view of what we see up there is going to be through it. But I'll note that down. What else? Could you use more than one balloon? I saw Bryantology 69. I saw someone had mentioned about more than one balloon. I'm sure that I've seen Q saying yes, it can be done, but it's all a question of balance. The more gas you put in there, the faster you'll go up. Okay, fairly obvious, but it also means that gas, as the balloon expands, will force the balloon larger and larger quicker, so it'll burst sooner, so you don't get the height. Earth is Life, $5. How do I get my logo on MAGE III like Bob the Science Guy? Well, thank you very much, Earth is Life. Yes, I'll do sponsorships for MAGE III, just as I did for MAGE II. I'll announce it at the time. I mean, if you are interested in doing it, please feel free to drop me a line. You can just email me, mr-sensible@hotmail.com. But I wouldn't do anything yet until we reach the point and say, yep, we're going to go with MAGE. And just like with MAGE 2, any official sponsors will get their logo on MAGE 3 and a shout out in each and every one of the videos about it, however many that is. I can't guarantee how many there is. I mean, with MAGE 2 there were quite a few videos, but I mean there's going to be several, because there'll be the actual flight, there'll be a full flight version, you know, the edited and the full flight version, and anything else like that. You can see on the MAGE playlist on this channel that the sponsors were mentioned frequently, and indeed on the video as it was carried over, because they were sponsors at the time. So hopefully they feel they got value for money. And Brian Pop Rodson super chat £4.49, which has just jumped off my screen. You use a radio transmitter, line of sight will be detected further and further away. No need to give GPS location. Well, the GPS, the sensors, I'm sure Q will shout if I get it wrong. They've got GPS sensors, so they know where they are, and they broadcast a signal, and it is line of sight. So at launch, basically only the base station where we were could pick it up. As it went higher, that signal had a greater and greater line of sight. So high altitude balloon enthusiasts who monitor these things, who know there's a flight taking place, they can suddenly start picking up the signal and transmit the telemetry data to the central server, and we could reach receiving stations about 400 miles away. So that's not a problem. but we're only talking about data. So time, height, GPS position, temperature, pressure, and there was a couple of other things as well, but that's basically it. So it's not a mass of data. Make a little spacesuit. Send a rat up. Oh, what is this with our little vermin friends? If you're going to do that, you might as well have a big balloon and send up a flat earther. Oh yeah, a mousetronaut. David Oliver says, I have acetate is clear like a window. Well, I tell you what, if we were going to do something like that, we would experiment first to see if it worked. Run a camera pointing through that and see how it affects it. Are we going to get loads of reflections? Is it going to, obviously you'd have it as tight as you can, but is it going to ripple? I don't know. We would do experiments. I mean, I have got the acetate on there, so I mean, all I need is a piece of acetate to test it. Even without a grid. Thank you, Michael Michel Durio. I won't read out that comment about Matt Powell. All right, Q is busy in here talking about styrofoam. Okay, Debonk has an interesting question. What height do you hope to get MAGE III to? That is an interesting question, because we could easily target the same height. Is that high enough for what we want? What do we want out of MAGE III? Because obviously, if you want to take loads of measurements and have bits of equipment, that's weight, that's going to impact on your maximum height. Or you could go for an absolute maximum height. Try to get the optimum amount of gas. I actually went for a balloon, a more expensive balloon that's designed for higher heights, because my target had been Felix Baumgartner's height. We were only about 200 metres short. Now, there are other balloons, there are balloons that are designed not to burst and go up and stay up, but we want to get MAGE back, and I'm not going to go to Outer Mongolia to collect it. So height, well, I'd like to go with whatever setup we have. I'd like to get it to go up as high as we can. But the question is, are we just going for height, or are we going, sorry, I just got to adjust the aircon. Are we just going for height, or are we going to try and test something else? Because I thought of testing something else originally. I'm open to anything, because with MAGE, the prime concern, the design of MAGE was to try and photograph the curve and to have the strings as a means of a reference in order to highlight that the curve was curve. Job done. Now, the other thing flat earthers always say is the horizon rises to eye level. And I thought of a fairly straightforward experiment we could do to disprove that load of crap. We've all seen the little coloured water U-shapes. Basically, one of those. Couple of problems. Firstly, it'll freeze, so we can't use water. Hence, talking about vodka with food colouring in. Second thing is that even with vodka, I should think at whatever we were at, 0.3% of atmospheric pressure, that will probably boil away. So I'm thinking it will have to be an enclosed loop. You can't just cap two ends of a U, because you'd have air at each end, so the liquid couldn't move. So it'd have to be a complete loop, which you'd seal off. That was one thing I thought of. I don't know what people think of that. Right, sorry, because I had my chat pause for a second. Right, so that's talking about the cameras seeing through plastic and so on. Yeah, I mean, ideally I'd like an open grid. That would be the absolute ideal. 2 MAGEs. You could do 2 MAGEs. Yes, you could indeed. But then you could end up running around the country trying to find 2 MAGEs. Unless one was a definite write-off. Right, Eric Doobie has mentioned a bleed valve to release pressure to delay the pop. You're not the first person to say that. I don't know how you would do that, because, as I said, the balloon is about 30 metres away from MAGE. You don't want to go... It's hydrogen or helium, which is more expensive, and we don't really want to use hydrogen, which will tend to... I don't know. I suppose once it's under that sort of pressure, it's straining the balloon. You could bleed it off, but then are you just going to slow it down? You're going to delay the pop, and actually you'd have to then stop the valve. Otherwise, as it went up, it would lose more and more gas and just not want to pop. I don't know. I'll put it on the list, but I've got a feeling that that's going to be one of those can't really be done. Bleed valve, balloon. I presume that's to get more height, if possible. Yeah, Q, you're so right, my friend. The range of the signal could be more than 400 miles if it wasn't for that damn curve getting in the way. Oh, yeah. Charlie Welch, $2. Tie Arwen to it for science. Well, he's like value Legolas, isn't he? So, I mean, if you remember in Lord of the Rings, which is a documentary, he walked on top of the snow. So I don't think he'd weigh much. So that'd be quite interesting, wouldn't it? Quite interesting. Rich91 says higher. I presume you mean about... Yes, Charlie, right. I know you guys were joking about the mouses. Yes. Frankie Mouse and Benji Mouse wouldn't be pleased if we put one of their buddies in there. Yes, no animal abuse. No, Marcel, there's no way I'd do anything like that. Balloons have to be much stronger to get higher altitudes. There are different materials for the balloons. As I said, there is a very thin plastic rather than latex, but that's for balloons that are designed to stay up for days or even weeks or whatever, and sort of try and circumnavigate or go a fair way around the world. So that's not what we're looking at, unfortunately. I would want to talk to Q about other balloon options, because it would be good to get more height, of course. Yeah, Snark, you're saying about impossible to guess when the balloon will burst. Well, you're right. There's always going to be other factors, but there's actually amazing predictive software that Q uses. And tying in weather, we know the weight of MAGE, we know how much gas we're putting in, we know what the weather's like. It will give us a prediction of its path, how high it's likely to be, and where it's likely to land. And you know what? It can be pretty damn accurate. I believe Q said that he had one that landed within a mile of the original prediction. I could be wrong on that. And I have seen a video where a guy actually was able to get to the predicted landing point, and he caught the payload as it came down. Quite stunning. Place a dome detector on it, says Timo. Yeah, send a bucket full of flat earth anti-nutter. Definitely. And Pollen 47, hello Pollen, $2 Canadian. A small explosive stroke spring-loaded blade to pop it. Yeah, well, it does tend to pop by itself once it gets high enough. Once that atmosphere all sort of doesn't go up there for some reason, apparently defying the laws of thermal dynamics, according to many highly qualified flat earthers. No, bleed valve. Yeah, it could be something that risks failing the whole thing. Yeah, Peter, actually you're right. The balloon with less initial gas would go higher before bursting. It will go up slower though, which isn't necessarily a problem if you had next to no wind, because you do get different winds at different levels, and so the longer you're in the wind, the further you're going to travel, and it's going to blow around. With MAGE, we actually launched. It went in one direction for a number of miles, turned around, pretty much passed over us, and went 40 miles. I think it was 40 miles, nearly 40 miles the other direction. Now, the prediction software took that into account. It's amazing stuff. But yeah, the longer you're drifting up slowly, the more that's going to affect you. Once you get up to the heights of 38 kilometres, it's less of a problem. I hope I'm not missing stuff, because every now and... Oh, yeah, Q said within 1 mile of prediction, yeah, which is quite astonishing, isn't it? Because people, you think if you let a balloon, how the hell are you going to know where it's going to land? but to actually sit there with a computer, weigh it, know what the weather forecast is, and say, oh yes, it's going to land not that far from Acacia Avenue in Middlesbrough or whatever. Wow. Because we had to adjust the weight because one of the predictions on launch day would have put, I think it was MAGE I, would have put it quite close to a motorway. And I think it was with MAGE II, with a certain level of gas and weight, we could have ended up over the English Channel. So, yeah, it's very, very technical, which is why I'm so glad that Q helped me. And I really hope that Q will help me again. I'm sure he will. He's a nice bloke. And so is Mrs. Q. She's not a nice bloke, she's a nice lady, but you know what I mean. A better balloon, someone was saying. That balloon, Q, perhaps you can remind us, what was the cost of that balloon? It was about £120, I think. They are not cheap things. A better balloon that normally wouldn't pop. Oh, right, yeah, Pollen. I see. Get a better, one of those balloons that won't pop and then manually pop it or automatically pop it. Gotcha. I don't know that's going to be possible. MAGE II, need 2 teams to chase the balloons. For a 2 MAGE idea. 2 teams chasing 2 balloons. Double the tracking equipment, though, my friend. Yes. Q has rather a lot of equipment. Rather a lot of technical stuff. Originally, before I hooked up with Q, and I was looking to do this by myself. You can do it by yourself, but the trackers are pretty much 50-50 as to whether you get the thing back or not. Not brilliant odds. And Stephen York's become a sensible fan. Thank you, Stephen. That's very kind of you. Very, very kind. Appreciate that. I'm going to have to update the patron and members and patrons list after tonight. Yes. Oh, poor Chris Durham. Yeah, Chris Durham Music Channel did the MAGE theme. It did play quietly in the background tonight when I showed MAGE, but do check out his video. Only 103 views, Chris. A lot more people have heard it, but it would be nice to give Chris Durham Music Channel some love. Chris, post that link again. Now I've mentioned it. It deserves it. Huge ass, $2.99 Australian. I like fluffy corgis and cheese. I've never actually met a corgi dog, you know. Never met one. The Queen always puts them away whenever I go to visit. Don't know why. Right, so we got quite a few ideas here. So I said that thoughts I had previous to this was the possibility of a 360 VR camera. But if we do that, then I think that's all we do, because it's a hell of a lot of money, and I suppose there's nothing to stop you having that dangling below and do some other stuff above, but then it's more and more weight. But yeah, so a 360 VR camera to make people feel sick. A full grid rather than 2 string lines, which I think is eminently possible as long as you can find the right material. As I said, a water level, I call it that, water level, so that we can prove horizon doesn't rise to eye level. One thing I'm going to keep my powder dry on is I did think of another thing with regard to demonstrating the pressure gradient. I'll give you an example, but I'm not thinking of using this. You could have an ordinary party balloon just with a sort of single puff of air at ground level, so it's all saggy, and then of course you'll see it as long as it's somewhere in view, get bigger and bigger and burst. But I've got a different idea for that, which wouldn't take up so much view space, and is a bit more fun. Put a picture of the flat Earth. Yes. Set up another camera just with an image of that the not the UN map, but that dumb flat Earth map. Oh, you were right, guys. You were right. I like it. Yeah, I'd love to see it in VR, Devil's Advocate as well. Yeah, whatever, Gary. You carry on. Maybe come to the US for one of our southwest desert states, wide open spaces. Well, Steve 64. I've been to Arizona, absolutely adored it. But I guess we'd have to pay for Q to go over as well. I'm sure he'll be happy to do that. And then Q will have to tangle with the whatever the American rules and regs are about HABs. And of course, all the people that helped us out with tracking MAGE won't be there, so you have to send all those over again. So I think we'll book an entire flight. Oh dear. Acetate. Yes. Acetate is a material. You're saying a see-through material, and I think that's what you're saying. An old phone with the theodolite app as camera solves the water level problem. Well, Tony, it does. I think that would be heavier, and you do have the battery problem. Possible to use fireworks to show real time? Not quite sure what you mean about that, S. Aston. Oh, wow. Rich 901. That's incredibly generous. £50. Thank you, Rich. Towards the next MAGE. Onward and upwards. Let's go. Go MAGE. Thank you, Rich. Really, really appreciate that. Money's not a problem, says Steve6464. Well, I'm coming over at once for a site visit just to check everything's okay. Q, do you need to go as well? We could do live videos. Oh, I see. Yes, because I believe, and again, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, Q, states' rules about high altitude ballooning are very different. I think they can put much heavier weights. I think they can drop, launch things from high altitude balloons. Yeah. Ratto, or R-A-T-O, R dollars. I don't know what R dollars are. But 10 of them, thank you. Have you seen sugar rockets? Oh, where they use sugar as a fuel. I have seen rocketry, and rocketry is something I would love to do. The thing is with rocketry, and it does sound good fun, it really does. The heights you're getting to are nowhere near MAGE heights. To get to sort of several thousand feet, you start talking big money, and the higher you go, the more money, and we're talking lots of money for really high amateur rocketry. But I wouldn't mind getting in touch with some amateur rocketeers, because that could be fun. Maybe we could send a camera up on one of them or something. Yeah, no fireworks, says Q. I think you got Q on your tail now, whoever it was who had suggested it. I'm just looking back. Oh, right. I had missed a couple of chats, so I do apologise. Actually, let me scroll back a lot further to make sure. Channel right. Earth is Life. Right, I start getting muddled up as to which way round this is. But Brian Pop Rodson, oh, he was the one who said about radio transmitter. Charlie Welch said about tying Arwen. Right, Tusk, £3. The Space Mouse will be the first Astrodent. Have they ever sent a mouse up? I don't know. Because they sent dogs up, of course, and monkeys. And Paul Ward, I'm thinking something about eye level, using a gimbal or something for 360-degree view cameras. Yeah, well, as I said, the cheap and easy way to get eye level is to have one of those water levels in line with a camera, nice and easy to see, and undeniable. And I think keep the weight down by making the tubing fairly thin, apart from the two bits you view. Fluffy corgis. I think I'm up to date. Listen, you guys have been very kind. There's lots of chats have come in. If I have missed any, I will try and have another look. I don't think I have, but if I have, listen, I really, really apologise, because I really don't want to miss any. Oh, and there is another one. Just popped up from Stephen York, $10 Australian. Is there a way to do stabilisation? I've been looking at reaction control systems, but that only seems to work in low pressure near vacuum and not on balloons. Wondering if there's another way. Yeah, when we were talking about MAGE II, after MAGE had flown and people saw how much it turns around, someone, I think it was Monster, or he was talking about it, or maybe it's someone else's idea, had said about propellers, to try, fire propellers to try and keep yourself straight. But of course, the higher up you go, the less atmosphere you've got for those props to work in, and it's weight and power, which requires batteries. Other ways, I'll just note down stabilisation, and I'm sure that there are ways you can stabilise it, but again, it's always going to be, it's a bit like a moonshot, really. If you want to do a bit of this, you might have to cut out a bit of that. Of course, I'm expecting NASA to give me to pass on $56 million a day to ensure that MAGE III is a big success. Oh, mice have been sent up, says Dora. Oh, that's quite sad, but sometimes, yeah, these things need to be done. Mr. XY, don't think water level idea would work because of all the movement. Well, certainly when you're lower, that there is an awful lot of movement. But if you look at MAGE, the last section before the balloon pop, it's actually just a gentle turn. Okay, really gentle turn. So it's not the level's not flinging around like that. So I think that could be quite good. I mean, if it was showing that sometimes it was above, sometimes it's below, it becomes more doubtful. But if it spends its entire time, that every time you look and see it level, the horizon is below, which we would predict, then I think that's quite evidential. Solar cells on the outside. I don't, and that's Mr. XY again. I don't know. Weight against the power you get. Are you going to get much power from that? I don't know. And Huge Arse is ready. Huge Arse is saying about batteries and cold not mixing, and he's right on that. And Q says props are useless. A CO2 or a reaction wheel could work. So, what, gas jets? Any stabilisation and the flirts would scream foul. Yes. Send up tardigrades. They come back mutated and start eating people. It'll prove there's more radiation up there. Oh, Brian Pop Robson, 449. Brian, I'm astounded. £4.49 super chat. £1,000 pledge for MAGE III from my company. We'll talk to you about it on email. Brian, that's more than kind. That's astonishing. Thank you. But yes, we'll talk about it on email. Yeah, that's amazing. I don't think I could take that off you for it, but I'm sure we could come to some very happy position that I'm, you know what I'm saying. We'll talk on email. Thank you, Brian. Though, Marius, 100 ZAR. Is that Zimbabwean something? I don't know. Just adding some more funds from the south for MAGE 3.0. Thank you, Marius. And RATO, 10 more R's. That's a lot of R's. Just do it the Soviet way and put weights on the bottom. It will spin but not wobble. Well, interesting. Again, we're worried about weight. Always weight. Just like Mrs. Sensible. No, she's not worried about her weight. She's worried about mine. David Oliver, £5. Couldn't we take away the solar strips from calculators and glue them on the balloon to get extra power? Look at this. This is about 40 years old, this calculator. It's still working. And a Canon LS80H. I don't know how many watts it is. I don't know if the weight of that is going to actually help you or not. I really don't know. I'm not into electronics to that extent. Rather, not that I'm not into it, I don't understand it to that extent. Sofa King Sleepy, $2. Good to hear you. Missed it. Back to the start. Well, thank you, Sofa King. You take care, my friend. Yes, just for kicks has made a good point. The more cameras you send up, the more confused the flirts become. They never look at the correct camera. We saw that tonight. And in the Mage Rage, admittedly, that guy, I've forgotten his name now, he was watching it real time and trying to debunk it real time before he'd seen the explanation about the cameras. But on the Mage Rage playlist, that is where people had taken the video and were trying to debunk it and were still getting the wrong camera. I think probably about half those debunk attempts either mentioned or relied on the wrong camera. Not very good. Not very good at all. Oh, it's not Zimbabwe. Oh, I'm sorry, Marius. I don't know where it is. I can't think of many places starting with Z. Oh, Dora and Koo says Zuid-Afrikaan Rand. Is that right? I don't know. Might have insulted him again. I don't know. Can you stabilise Mage 3 with cheap gyros off of Amazon? Says Blue Feather. I don't know. I mean, we got gimbals. Did I mention? I put gyros on here as well. Like I said, this is open to any and everything. I mean, if someone said, "Can we put nuclear bombs on there?" I'd say, "No, we can't." Even if they were perfectly well aimed at Mr. Oakley's house. So I'd throw that idea right out. But anything else which is interesting, it may be pushing it. It may be unlikely. But I'm happy to talk with Q, and we'll go through all of these and then rule out the ones which, if there are any of those which are absolutely impossible, and then we'll try and say, well, this one's easy. This one we could do, but we might have to compromise. That one, if we did it, we'd have to give up. We'll work it out. We'll work it out and come up with a package, an interesting package. Sorry, I'm catching up with chats and that. I'm going to look forward to rereading this afterwards. Mr. X, Mr. Y says a South African Rand. Well, there we go, Marius. If that was what it was, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Very kind of you. Of course, Dora was right. How could I don't doubt you, Dora. I don't. Don't need reference grids. Don't need reference grid. Just have a camera and look at a reference grid on the ground first to prove it's rectilinear, says Eric Doobie. That's really good, because that would then get the any issues of weight or seeing through acetate or whatever it is, they're all gone. So we could do that anyway, but if that is good enough to prove it, I'm not that hot on cameras. I've heard of this stuff with a grid, but yeah, of course, flat Earth. Unless we're able to do it while holding Mage, and then we go and then we launch, so that it's all in one shot, so they can see we haven't changed cameras or something. That would be interesting. But a pre-flight grid check. I mean, that would be a wonderful answer. Thank you, sir. Very good. Oh, so it is South African Rand. Thank you. And I'm getting told off about that. Maybe some overlays on it. No, not yet. Wrong camera. Other camera, dum-dum. Yes. How much did Mage cost, if I may be so bold to ask? Dr. Unsensible, I mean, you had the cost of the materials for building Mage. You had the cost of the camera that was lost in Mage 1, because, one did get lost. You can go and find it in a field somewhere in the UK. The cost of the original balloon and its gas. The cost of the gas for Mage 2. It's the cost of the gas for Mage 2 and its balloon. What else did we have? Obviously, there was fuel and things like that. Consumables, the actual cost of doing it and going there, because I had to CQ right on all that, of course. I'm estimating, ballparking the whole lot, it was between 1,200, 1,400 quid, £1,400, something like that. Probably around 1,300. But I didn't add it up exactly, and I could be out on a couple of things either way. So, it's a fairly expensive experiment. But I think it was worth it. I got lots of support, which obviously really helped and did pay for the experiment. You know, what with the super chats I received beforehand during the initial planning and so on, and during the live stream afterwards, and the sponsorships I received from, shout out, Dr. Bob, and from Just Shoot Me, brilliant name that, and from Arctic Haze. Yeah, so that was why I could do it. That was why I could do it. And people have been very generous tonight, and that will help do MAGE III. And then with Brian Pop Robson with a sponsorship like he's talking about, as you can see, talking about those figures, Brian, that 1,000 is over the top. I wasn't going to talk about it on stream until we now mentioned it, but we'd come to a very suitable arrangement. So, yeah, thank you, sir. Unless we decide to go all the way to space, in which case, pony up some more, my good man. We'd need a bit more. Judy Bassett, €10, beg your pardon, Judy, for MAGE III where needed. Thank you, Judy. Judy's such a long time and consistent support of the channel. Right, so any other ideas in here? A pre-flight video, go, no go poll. I like that. Are we go flight? Oh, yeah. No, MAGE 1 isn't hanging in a British tree somewhere, thud. MAGE 1 became MAGE 2 after some repairs and after it was fished out of a power or telegraph pole transmission line. You can watch MAGE 1. You can see how we found it dangling over a road, and it was pissing down rain, and it was cold, and we managed to get it out with some long sticks with hooks and knives on, and then went wandering across a field trying to find the camera that had come out of it, which we didn't find. So it's not still hanging there. But we did call the police. I was on the phone to the police because we thought we'd need to get the road shut because this balloon was dangling but it was coming down and it was going to get into the traffic. So that was fun, but managed to get it down just before it fell. It would be amazing to do it over the Antarctic debonk, but that's going to be even more expensible? Yes, that's a good word. Even more expensible and rather cold. And is that the Arctic or the Antarctic? We could try the Antarctic and try dodging penguins. And Marius, £5. And the same from the north. Go Mage. Thank you, Marius. Thank you. So actually, let's just put up I'm going to put up a quick poll. Because this is just interesting. Before tonight. I'm just interested in this. It is a yes/no. Before tonight, my English is poor. Before tonight, did you see the MAGE experiment video, or was tonight the first night? Just interested. Has that poll disappeared? Is the poll there? Oh, there it is. Yeah. So before tonight, had you watched the MAGE II experiment? I'm just interested to see who came across it or watched it all for the first time. I know that some people had seen clips or images from it. Just interested, really. Oh, Mr. S, you could send up a list of people who donate just for fun. Well, that would be a cheap, easy win, wouldn't it, Dr. Nimrod? That would be really easy to do. This was the original, you're not going to see it very well because of green screen, MAGE mission patch. This one did not fly. The one that flew went to Juha Eskelinen, who guessed the height. We'll do a new MAGE patch with... which will go up. That's a few grams. That a new MAGE patch will definitely go up. And again, we'll release a predicted flight level, and then people can guess to the nearest meter how high MAGE 3 actually flies, with a winner winning a MAGE 3 patch. And maybe that one, perhaps I would sign it on the back as genuine it'd flown. Maybe I could get a bunch in if anyone would be interested in purchasing one. Pretty much at cost. I wouldn't be looking to make money, but if anyone wanted one. Multi Tom Tom, you're here again. Yeah, I see your message was deleted. Don't go down that way, Tom Tom. You know you're quite welcome to come here. You're quite welcome to play and join in, but keep away from that sort of comment. Yeah. Anyway, surely you're busy because you're still supposed to be doing that undebunkable video for me, which must be getting on for 2 years. Brian Pop Robson, if I win 191 million on Tuesday, how about a trip to the South Pole? 42 grand each. We could take Gary. Hey, I'm up for it. I'd love that. Absolutely love it. Bit cold there right now, though, isn't it? It'd be best to wait for winter here, summer there, and of course we'll have to sort out all those issues with the Antarctic Treaty, wouldn't we? Perhaps we could just sneak past the penguins. That would be the answer. Thank you. Someone's just allowed that comment from Videoteca Twilight. Mr. Sensible will kill flat idiots once again. Thank you for your confidence. I certainly hope so. Right, so we got a bunch of ideas of possible improvements. Other ideas, just picking one at random, like say an infrared camera. The options are try and see the curve, which we've seen already, but maybe we could see it better or from a higher height. There's horizon rising to eye level. I'm not sure. Can anyone think of any other experiments? Never mind about how we do them. Any other experiments we could do when we're up there? Maybe instead of one of those. And then we can think about any equipment we need to do those if it's possible. Steve would buy a patch if proceeds go towards MAGE III. Very kind, Steve. I must get on to the wonderful Osvaldo Greco who designed that. Well, actually, it was I still got it up there. Maybe I should sell that. I've got my original scribbled drawing, which I sent a photo of to Osvaldo Greco, who turned it into the wonderful graphic that I then sent to a patch manufacturer. So I would do that beforehand, and as I said, one patch would fly, just one, like last time, and that would go to the winner. The trips, they are expensive, Brian, but they're amazing, and insurance, I should think, is a good part of it as well. Rather expensive to rescue someone from Antarctica, I'd have thought. Stephen says no fisheye. Stephen, there were no fisheye lenses on MAGE. I know people call it fisheye. A wide angle is different than fisheye. Fisheye is the one where it almost looks like you're looking through a goldfish bowl. You know, like the views looking down, where it almost looks like the ground's an entire sphere below your feet. The wide angle lens is just a wider angle, but as long as you're looking across the middle or vertically across the middle, there's no distortion. Anything else, and you start getting the curves, which is in the video that was showing behind me at the beginning of the MAGE video. The main camera, in MAGE, the one with the strings across the front, that was a non-distorting lens, not fisheye, not wide angle. Even so, even a non-distorting lens does have a tiny bit of distortion, but that pre-flight grid check, I do apologise whoever gave that idea, that's a spot-on idea. Then we could still leave the strings on it, perhaps, but we wouldn't need the grid on the flight up there. That would be good. An egg in density tower. Yeah, well, a density tower would be interesting as MAGE fell, wouldn't it? But a lot of weight to take up there. Some old dude, $5 US, pinhole camera. Not possible to blame curvature on the lens. That's very clever. But we need, a pinhole video camera, though. Otherwise, what we're going to do, send a flat earther, and when he's high enough, he can press the button. Oh, thank you, Jan. Just watched MAGE 2 video. Just great. And I see, looking at the polls so far, 94% of you had seen it before, 6% haven't. So I really genuinely hope that the 6% who it was new to enjoyed it and were excited by it. I know that at the time that it was massive on this channel, and then we had a live stream after stream with Fight the Flat Earth. Q was on it, Dr. Bob, and I think there might have been someone else, I'm not sure. It was a really good stream afterwards. On this channel, on the MAGE playlist, you can see the video you just watched tonight, but you can also see the live after stream. That was good fun. How about putting Riley's egg in MAGE III? Yeah, that would be interesting. Thanks, your power out, $2 US. Yeah, so I'm not sure of other experiments I could do because the things we can measure are temperature, pressure, seeing the curve, getting maximum height. I don't know how high the record. I did previously some time ago look at the record for height. I don't know how difficult that is. Whether they had to really push to get the height they went, or if it's something that is could be hit with a challenge. Don't know. That would be interesting though. At what temperature do Flurf tears freeze? Room temperature, I think. Yeah, very sensitive sensor in a pinhole camera. I guess you're right there. Grumpy Old Mechanic says for $80,000 you can ski to the South Pole. I'll give that a miss, thank you. Sorry, these questions. Weigh the egg. What, weigh the egg up there? Oh, Stephen, £1.79. Only said fish eye for fun and the dig it flows. Not a problem, my friend. Not a problem. But it was a good opportunity to make clear because I still get them saying fisheye lenses. Or they say, why do you have a camera with barrel lens? No, that's a type of distortion. It's not a barrel lens. It's barrel lens distortion. I don't know how many times I tried to explain that to them. They don't get it. And they don't like it up them. They don't like it up them, Mr. Manring. 125,000 feet. I don't know. Q might know to his off the top of his head what the record is. Yes, Q, horizon drop. I think that would be relatively straightforward one to do. It could be interesting. It would kill another Flurf meme. Some will do $2 US radiation exposure versus altitude. How much would I forgot what you call them. A what's name meter? A thingamajig. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying. One of the clicky radiation things. I guess they're going to be pretty heavy. Probably too heavy for MAGE to lift in the first place. But I like the way you're thinking. I don't know if there's any way we could measure the radiation, and if it's going to be... Excuse me. I'm sorry, people. I was up at 5 this morning for an early shift. I'm up at 5 tomorrow morning, so I'll have to stop in sort of 10-15 minutes. Geiger. Thank you, Dr. Unsensible. Geiger counter. And Dora, who is never, ever wrong about anything, is Oh, right. Q Branch, thank you. Altitude record, 45 kilometres amateur. We reached 38 3/4. 50 kilometres professional with a huge balloon. Huge. Yeah. I did think it was... Because I did look into it a while back, Q, after MAGE II. Because I have been thinking on it, on and off. But now is the time I'm starting to think, right, I need to and want to get into doing MAGE III. And that was one of the things I looked into, and I think that I looked into it and thought, actually, that's not going to be possible. Not without a hell of a lot of money and time. And I guess you do that and you reach 50.5 kilometres. Yay, we got higher. And then that's it, really. Oh, that would be quite cool. It would be quite cool. Very cool, actually. A weight sensor between the balloon and MAGE to show the weight difference at different heights. To show gravity. Again, I'm guessing that a sensor to measure gravity, which of course will be lower the higher you get, but I guess for something to be accurate enough to measure that, it's going to be pretty heavy. Yeah. Parts. Flurf World says parts per million counter. Yes, that's right. We could borrow Riley's TDS meter that measured unicorn farts, or I don't care what. Chuff nugget. Was it? I saw that. Something about. Oh, a strip that shows exposure like nuclear power workers. That's interesting because you keep one at ground level and have one up there, and then show the difference. But I would presume that those strips that they use would be many hours of possible exposure, in an environment such as a nuclear power station, because they're not going to want them. It's 10 minutes later, got to change the patch. I know we're talking about say 3 hours. Would that be enough to register anything? I don't know. But I'll tell you what, they are little strips, aren't they? So why not find out about it? Radiation strips. Thanks for the idea. You people are so clever and special and amazing. Yeah, like doctors wear or whatever. Photographic paper sensitive to radiation. You guys are good at this. Some will do $10 US. A small Geiger counter that needs no modification. They will log radiation versus time. Quite small, lightweight. Send you links to Amazon if you want. Yes, please, some old dude. Please do. And I'll certainly look into it then. As I said, weight is definitely our enemy, because MAGE overall was around 1 kilogram, so it's not much. But yeah, send us a link. Mr-sensible@hotmail.com. I'll do. Thank you. Well, this sheet is filling up nicely. Loads of good stuff on here. Cosmic rays called Cherenkov radiation in perspex, and the light can be detected. Wow. Honestly, I'm amazed, and it's wonderful. All the knowledge and experience that different people have in the community that can bring to bear on something like this. A dosimeter, yes. I mean, it's brilliant. I mean, like I said, I've spent some time thinking of this, and you guys have come up with a whole bunch of thoughts and ideas of a varying sort, which gives so much food for thought and help make this more expensive. More exciting is the word I was totally failing to actually grab hold of. An oxygen meter. Well, Alexander Petkovsky, I think, and I guess someone will correct me if I'm wrong, I think the oxygen level is basically going to be the same mix as it is down here, just less of it. So just the pressure should tell us that. I don't think, because it's pretty homogeneous, I don't think the oxygen is likely to be much difference percentage-wise up there. And it would have to be, again, pretty sensitive, because we're talking about 0.3% atmosphere at the height MAGE II went to. So it's not got a lot to work with. What's this? Could you add a bullshitometer? It would show bullshit radiation decreases with altitude. Looks like MAGE IV is coming, says Colin Six Hitter. Wow, you never know, do you? I'm going to worry about MAGE III first, though. Yeah, S. Aston, what exactly are you wanting to verify? Well, S. Aston, MAGE 1 and then 2 was to verify the curve. The whole idea was literally to get an image that was undeniable with the reference line strings showing curve. MAGE 3, I'm open to anything. I'm quite happy if we can to show the curve again. Maybe we'll just end up with a better view. Perhaps if there's less cloud in the direction it happens to look, so that we can get a clearer shot. But I'm happy to look at anything. We have shown the pressure gradient with the sensor. We showed how the balloon expanded as the atmospheric pressure reduced. So we've proven that, or evidenced that. We had temperature gauge, which showed the temperature dropping and then rising again, which also disproved the crap, because I've had several people say to me, in fact only in the past couple of days as well, that the reason the pressure's low is because the temperature's lower. Not true. The temperature drops and then rises again, then drops again and rises again, a couple of times I think. So those sort of things have been evidenced. I'm open to evidencing or looking to test anything. Like I said, I had the idea of a grid, but now we got just to demonstrate better that the camera is not distorting anything, but we now got that pre-flight grid idea. So horizon not rising to eye level is one that I thought of, but I'm quite happy to ditch that if we come up with a different idea of something that's more interesting, you know. Yeah, I think you're right, Nix Pro, about not a transparent sheet in front. Yeah, definitely. Call this one Mission to the Dome, so that loonies will actually watch it this time. Oh. Look at that. Colin says, this stream is a good example of science at work. Plenty of hypothesis and prediction experiment. Absolutely. This is great. I mean, what is it they used to call it? Brainstorming. That's what we're doing tonight. Brainstorming possibilities for MAGE III. And as I said, with Q, I'll go through them. Maybe some ideas we just have to throw out as not possible or not worth it or just too expensive or whatever. And we'll come up with something interesting, which will be announced to people before MAGE is adjusted or rebuilt. If MAGE requires rebuilding from scratch, so be it. But we do have MAGE, and I suspect we may be able to. It's already flown twice. May be able to work it to fly a third time. Although it would be sad if you didn't get it back, because that's always a risk. That's the thing. We can lose everything. Had 3 cameras on MAGE, and on the first MAGE we lost one of them. That was 150 quid. Bang, gone down the drain. Plus 100 quid for gas, and 100 quid for a balloon. Although that one was replaced by the suppliers because it was faulty balloon, which was very trusting and kind of them, and I did appreciate that. Right, Rich 901. How expensive are sounding rockets? Yeah, I think it's around $10,000 a kilogram. I have looked into it, not greatly, but it's an order of magnitude more expensive than MAGE, definitely. I have it. It is something I've got in the back of my mind, but MAGE is going to be MAGE. MAGE III is going to be a balloon. But, yeah, sounding rockets are not forgotten. That would be interesting. There's a thought. 9 o'clock Hero says, ditch the rear camera, have stereo forward cameras. Interesting. Although I'm not sure how much. I guess you could, if you combine them, you get a 3D effect for the forward view that shows whatever is on MAGE just in front. But the actual Earth itself is, I guess, there's not going to be any parallax there, is there? But I'll note it down. So stereo vision, and now in stereo. Interesting stuff. Well, MAGE 1, Adam, gave us a video, and we had the technology. She was rebuilt. She flew again. Have a word with the guys over at Luftdaten. They design sensors, says Tim Ballon. What sort of sensors are you thinking of? I'll note their name down. Luftdaten sensors. I mean, because we had obviously GPS trackers and transmitters. We had temperature gauge, pressure gauge. There are other things you can measure, I'm sure. Humidity and whatever, but are we going to get excited about finding the humidity level up there? Flat Earthers certainly won't. PJCnet. Remember, if launched in England, it's supposed to be travelling at 650 miles an hour, increasing in speed a little with altitude to keep up with the Earth's spin and without any air pressure too. Well, PJCnet, it went one direction for several miles and then went the other direction. How can you explain that? Wind. But it still had its existing momentum. Conservation of momentum, my friend. It works. Definitely. Infrared camera, says Alexander. That has been mentioned. A mouse wheel for the Mousetronaut. Yeah, not enough parallax, agrees Q. Yeah. Yes, I agree, Q. I mean, if we had an object of one sort or another, on the far end of whatever boom we've got, yeah, you could get parallax there. But beyond that, it's like looking at stars. You're not going to see the parallax. not with a pair of cameras that are basically like your eyes. It's no different than you being at that height, looking out the window. You're not going to see the 3D, move your head or whatever and see things parallax at the distance of 400 miles, unfortunately. Right, Sofa King Sleepy, we can't launch or drop anything from a balloon, not in the UK. It's against the rules and regs, and besides, Q said so. No, it's against the rules. We can't do that, I'm afraid. Other countries you can, but they have different rules. Other countries, it's very difficult to be able to get a balloon flight agreed. Here, anyone can do it. You don't actually have to... It's a bit odd. You don't ask permission, but you have to let the Civil Aviation Authority know, and they'll tell you, no, you can't, because there's a problem with whatever, because of something's happening on that date or whatever. Basically, it's called a NOTAM. They should a notice to airmen that basically say, Mr. Sensible's launching a balloon, don't go in that area. And of course, what was the first thing that happened? On the date that we had booked, a light aircraft came flying right over where we were to have a look. Silly beggars. Silly beggars. Air particulates, pollution. Do you know what, Tim? That's actually quite interesting. Measure... I don't know if we could measure air pollution up there, whatever particulates. That would be quite interesting. I mean, obviously, it's nothing to do with flat Earth, globe Earth, and it's nothing that we can show visibly. You're going to get a bunch of numbers, and we also know that flat Earthers and they're like, don't do numbers, and they just deny the data. But that is quite interesting. I'll note it down. I mean, if I'm looking into alternative or additional sensors, and something like that can be got hold of, and weighs 3 grams and just plugs in, well, why not? We shall see. That'll be definitely one to discuss with Q. Could you do an evening launch so we could see the sun set twice? Rob, we again in the UK we're not allowed to launch at night. What I would like to do is to launch, say, an hour and a half before dawn, or an hour before dawn, so you go up and you actually see dawn. Now, I don't know if that's going to bust the rules, but that would be pretty spectacular, launching in the dark and going up and seeing the sunrise from 30-odd kilometres. That would be fabulous. I'm gonna note that down because I hadn't noted that before, and I hadn't discussed that with Q, who may just say no, it's a no go. Go, no go. Flight. Yeah. Q is flight, I'm afraid. Because when it comes to it, the final decision on launch had to be Q's. He has the experience in that. Right, Q has corrected me. Actually, you do have to ask for permission, which is normally given if you're not near an airport and there's nothing else like an air show nearby. Right, okay, well, I was wrong on that one. I shall nip off and shoot myself, but don't worry, I'll be quite humane. Thanks for the correction, Q. He's a nice guy, really. Oh, thank you, Love Chat XYZ. That's lovely. Where do we go? Oh, they've been hidden from the channel, and they've been reported as well. Yeah. Why do they do that? It's pathetic, really. Let's just go back to the poll, and it's 92% plays 8%. So I'll end it there. Thank you for voting in the poll. That like I said, that was it's 91.8%, 91 and 8%. Did I say? Oh dear. Who's the other 1%? That must be you, Gary, and you, PJCnet. I don't know. Or YouTube is utter crap at math. I mean, I'm not very good, but even I doubt that 91 and 8 adds up to 100. It's probably one of those rounding errors or flatting errors, flat it off. Anyway, he was a quick mod. He's a man built for speed, Dora. Okay. Oh, sorry. There was. What about an idiot oxygen carbon dioxide sensor to show the density of the air? Well, we do have the air pressure, Paul. Chat is go, says Rich 901. Livindil, hopefully I said that right, saying, is there a way to test how the weight of an object changes depending on the altitude? I think you need to be pretty accurate scales. Wolfie 6020 did it with a kilogram weight and only got well, that wasn't with altitude, that was with different parts of the globe. So the effect may have been, I don't know, but the effect may have been greater for him than it would be just with the altitude gain. So we're only talking about fractions of a gram, I think, over a kilogram. So I don't think that's going to be possible. I mean, it would be lovely to do so. Could you measure the M2 trajectory while monitoring the ISS? I don't know what the M2 is, unless you're talking about a motorway. Pollen 47, $5 Canadian. Research lightest, cheapest smartphone aimed straight down with SIM card for live streaming. Could make it easier to find landing spot. I tell you what, that's an interesting idea, isn't it? I don't know. Basically, just to live stream from a phone. Don't know. I'll tell you what. I'll note it down. There may be several reasons why we can't do it, but so live stream from a phone. I mean, technically that would be easy because you strap it to the bottom and connect it up to the live stream, but there may be other issues. I guess battery life would just be battery life. If it cuts out part way, it cuts out part way. But phone under. Okay, cool. Guys, this is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. 1% margin of error. Just the same as in your statement, Debonk. 1% margin of error. And it is the 1% that wants to be different. Guys, I think, looking at the time, like I said, I'm up at 5 tomorrow morning, which gives me, 6.25 hours sleep once I'm in bed. 40 kilometres, gravity is 98.8% of sea level. Post-processing of accelerometer data is likely the way to do it. Should be able to measure it, says Q. Okay. So gravity reduction. Okay. Transmission distance will be a problem with the phone. It could be. Strap onto a Starlink satellite as a rideshare. Well, guys, look at this. Absolutely full of stuff. We've got loads of stuff to look at. Would 50 grams be too heavy? Says some old dude for the radiation monitor. Is that one of these dosimeters? One of the strips? I don't know. 50 grams. Oh yeah, so we need two, but the other one would stay down on Earth. Radiation strips, dosimeters, 50 grams. Or is that some sort of sensor rather than a strip? Yeah, it must be, because 50 grams sounds heavy for some sort of special strip. And Q's just yes, actually, and I knew that, Q. So the phones, they don't work above 1 kilometre or so. The reason I knew that is, but had forgotten, when I was researching doing MAGE originally by myself, the equipment that you use is basically a mobile phone, which then will broadcast its signal, but you only get it below a certain height. So once it's up there, you have no idea where it's going. Then it says, oh, I've landed in Manchester. Then you have to dash to Manchester and hope no one's nicked it. But so thanks again for that, Q. Yeah, yes, mobile phone towers don't send much signal upwards. No, of course not. It's like the GPS towers that apparently are all over the Earth. They go flat, don't they? I guess the gravity holds the signal down. That's the only thing I can think of. So, nice idea about the phone, but we will have to scratch that one already. So, thank you for that, though. I appreciate it. Oh, that's an electronic Geiger counter. Well, 50 grams for a Geiger counter, that's not much, is it? It's not much. And thank you, Debunk, for wishing me luck for the project. It'll be good. And I hope you all enjoy being involved like this. And we'll do more stuff on this channel. When it actually flies, it will be shown first on the main new Mr. Sensible. And I hope you subscribe to both of them. But then it will be mirrored back to this one, because I'll keep all the MAGE stuff on here. It'll just be the flights. The experimental flights will be on the main channel as well. Right, I think, people, if it gets close to Manchester, you can chase it down. You just doxed yourself, my friend. I think at this point, I shall have to end the stream because of having to have sleep. It's what gets in the way. But please, I am still open to ideas. I've yet to actually get in contact with Q so that we can arrange a good chat. Maybe, Q, we'll have to get together. I'll pop over, take you out for a meal, and we'll go through everything rather than just a little online thing. I think that's only fair. I'll treat you to a nice meal. How's that? As a way of pre-thanks. But yeah, if anyone comes up with any ideas, please feel free to send them, because there's still time. Because me and Q will at some point get together. We'll go through it all. Until then, I'm happy to add more things to the list. Okay, you can either contact me by DM me on Discord. You can tweet me on Twitter. That's at It's Mr. Sensible. You can email me, mr-sensible@gmail.com. Okay. Don't forget the sticky tape, says Aussie Wally. Sticky tape for what? I don't know. A happy meal, says Dora. Yeah. Q likes those little plastic toys, you see, so I'm sure it will be. Sounds like a plan. Good, says Q. Q, I do hope I've still got your email address. I should have, but could you do us a favour? Could you just drop me an email saying this is my email address, and then I will get in touch with you and we'll arrange a convenient time. There's no particular rush. I've got a shed load of stuff I'm doing here at home as well anyway. And yeah, we'll perhaps I can get Mrs. S as well, pop over. She can perhaps see those four-legged creatures that you had, and we'll go out for a meal, perhaps with Mrs. Q as well. That might be nice fun. Might be nice. Okay. Thank you. Do remember to email me, DM me, or tweet me with any further ideas. Massive thanks to all my members. Massive thanks to all my patrons. And massive thanks to all of you who have so generously super chatted tonight. And the new members. Appreciate it all. I hope you had fun. Mr. Arnold has literally cleared off. He knows it's the end of the stream. He must be thinking about getting some tea, some late night tea. Thank you all. Hope you enjoyed it. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Until next time, stay sensible. And I quickly reach up there and find the button and say goodbye.
Mr. Sensible, Mr. Sensible, bring me some cheese, and get me only the best if you please. Here are some flowers, let me display them. Yea, Dr. One, or you have Arnold slay them. Mr. Sensible, you are a man. Every subscriber is a faithful fan. In your logic and your cheese, Mr. Sensible, help us out, please. Mr. Sensible, I needed proof of gravity, so I jumped off the roof. It's hard enough, let me go further. Why was I ever such a darn flat earther, Mr. Sensible? I'm such a clown. I am the laughing stock of the town. Bring your logic and your cheese, Mr. Sensible, help me out, please. Mr. Sensible, bring me a sphere to which the waters of the oceans adhere. Add explanations, but let me be candid. So clear the hear my call. We are